Axes and saws are all about specific situations you're in for what's the most efficient. I want to test different axes and one saw to see how well they do in some pretty small diameter American beech. I'll show you what we got here. So first we have this really cool little axe. The edge is set to probably around 25 degrees. It's about a 22-inch handle, somewhere around that. The whole thing, handle included, weighs just under 4 pounds. So this is actually going to be shorter than the saw. Then we have this boy's axe, which is on like a 25-inch handle, 26-inch handle. And as you can see, there's some major overstrike damage, but we're gonna see if we could use this. I did just hone both axes, so hopefully they cut well. This one might be a little thinner. Yeah, it looks pretty thin, so could be around 22-degree angle edge. Beautiful head too. I mean, if you want to talk about pretty, something looking pretty, these axes definitely look better than the saw. And that weighs just under 2.5 pounds total. Now this handle is thinner than the other one, and it's also ash, which is much lighter. As you can see, this doesn't hold up to abuse too well. This handle is made of white oak, and it's been overstruck, and I was able to remove it without much problem. So the 4 pounds makes sense for that because it's a heavier and thicker handle, and it's also a heavier head. I believe the head is around 3 pounds 2 ounces, maybe a little less now. And this head, I think it's 2 1/4, but I might not be sure. This handle almost weighs nothing. It's very light feeling. And then we have a pole saw. This is the Silky 6500, I believe. The Katanaboy 650, I mean. And this is about 26 inches long. And if you were to measure the whole thing, it's way longer than the axes. I would imagine both axes aren't even as long. Yeah, if I were to line up both axes, this is longer, handle and all. But you don't pack it like that. You pack it like this. Which is, 28 inches maybe. I can measure this. It doesn't matter. You get the point. This is 26-inch long blade, which means it's made for cutting diameters 13 inches and under. You really don't want to go more than half the blade, and even that is tough. So I already have a bias. I already don't really like using saws, and one added element to this is I have a really tender elbow. It's kind of messed up. So we're going to see what I can actually do. It's going to be interesting because I have to make 3 cuts basically. Yeah, what do you guys think is going to happen? I guess we'll see. So this would be easier if this was up higher. If you were messing with a deadfall and a limb was up high, or it just so happened that the stem you're working on is up high, this is a lot easier. But to be fair to the axes, I'm going to hit it where it lays, just like it's golf. So it is a little awkward. You can see how I decided to take this on, kind of the straight through the legs approach. It looks really funny, honestly. Usually you would kind of have the saw to the side. I just find it's easier to keep the saw straight like this, which is really important. If you can't keep the saw straight, you're not going to cut well. It's going to bind and it's going to ruin your efficiency. So this actually made it easier for me. I'm not the best with saws. That is one part of this. I'm way better with axes than saws, let's be honest. But I wonder how I would feel if this was a push saw, an American push saw. This is a Japanese pole saw. It is a very popular saw in America, the Silky brand, the pole saw brand. But this is not a normal saw when it comes to, old days. If we're comparing vintage axes to vintage saws, maybe this would be a little different. But I think all in all, I'd rather work with an axe when the wood is on the ground and it's pulpwood size. So you saw that I put the blade in the ground. That's a big no-no for a saw. When it comes to an axe, it's way easier to sharpen an axe than a saw blade. So that's another consideration. You can actually maintain an axe a lot easier than a saw, and especially these I think they're called impulse hardened teeth on these Japanese pole saws. Now, this was really nice using this super lightweight axe. You'll see how easy it was. It was actually easier than the heavier axe because the edge is thinner on this one. One variable I haven't talked about yet is this is greenwood. Saws are much more effective on dry wood. So who knows what I would be saying. You know, obviously if you're in the woods and you need dry timber, maybe you'd want the pole saw. But honestly, I would try with this axe. As long as your axe is pretty keen and the metal can actually hold up to some abuse, I wouldn't mind working on wood this diameter if it was dry. I mean, I've cut dry American holly, which is super tough, but it was very small diameter. It was probably a third of the diameter of this. This is probably 5-inch diameter, maybe. Maybe a little more, maybe 5.5. You can kind of see, you can compare the edge of the axe, which is maybe 4 and change inches. But I mean, this was really easy. I mean, that was effortless. I did not use any energy really doing that. Compared to the saw, I did. Now, you could chalk that up to what your body is used to. I'm used to swinging saws, and even though I'm used to swinging axes. Swinging saws. That would be like a dangerous guy there. I'm used to swinging axes, and it's just not that tough for me. Now, this actually got me a little bit more winded using this. I had to work a little harder with this heavier head. So it just goes to show that you use the axe weight. The weight of the axe you use is just what you need. You don't need to go heavier than you actually need. And for this instance, this was overkill. But if I was cutting into 15-inch diameter American beech, I probably would want the heavier axe head. Especially that it releases from the cut a lot easier. It's not going to get stuck. It's very wedgy and fat compared to the thinner boy's axe. There's another variable I'd like to mention. At a couple points in this video, you can see that my foot is almost in line with a deflection, and in a worst case scenario, I hit my foot with an axe. When it comes to injuries with a saw and an axe, usually the injury you get with a saw is at worst maybe a tendon injury. You might cut yourself in the near the thumb. But with an axe, you could remove a toe. You could possibly bleed out. So yeah, the axes are a little more dangerous than the saw, and there's a lot more skill to them. And for me, developing that skill was worth it because the last variable is it's cool. I feel really cool being able to cut through timber with an axe.